it honestly wasn't until about 5 years ago, I decided to do exposure and response prevention work, which the evidence for it, it's the most effective treatment for OCD, social anxiety, phobias, but it's really hard work. And most people don't necessarily want to do it because you are actively facing the fear. Like if you break it down, exposure, you're getting exposed to your fears,
Yes.
response prevention. You
Mhm.
are not allowing yourself to run away like
Yeah.
we normally would.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is, think of it like if you have a spider phobia, it's you like sitting and holding the spider. And that is so hard.
On your website, you mentioned that you're very passionate about lessening the stigma associated with mental health, as so am I. So I wanted to ask you, why is that important to you?
Oh, I see so many people silently suffering. And, one statistic that when I learned this was a game changer for me. It takes on average from a time a person is starting to suffer to actually getting help 11 years. 11 years from the time of onset of symptoms to actually getting treatment. And to me, that is such a sign that we need to be talking more about this. We need to get people support. So, the more that I can do to share my own story, to help share what happens in the therapy room, to destigmatize, because there's been such a kind of closed door policy, right? Where people don't know what happens in a therapy room. I feel like it's my job as a psychologist to tell people what that entails so that it doesn't feel so scary to walk into a therapy session or a therapy Zoom session too.
Are actually more appropriate. We're not putting our happiness on the other side of losing 30 pounds. Or it's like someone saying, I'll be happy when I get a Lamborghini. How about we be happy first, then get the Lamborghini? Or be happy first, then lose the weight. That's just kind of how my approach has been.
And something that you say often is outer work without inner work doesn't work.
Yeah, buddy. We can't go within and live without. That's absolutely right. Outer work without inner work doesn't work. Absolutely.
So what approach do you take? This might be a really broad question, but I did listen to your podcast
Nice.
about journaling, of course, about journaling and meditation. So
Yeah.
I probably already answered the question. I was going to ask, what approach do you take as far as helping your clients alleviate anxiety?
Yeah. So the first thing is there's the education piece about realizing that like we can't be running from it anymore.
Okay.
I think people are taught that these emotions are bad and they're to be avoided, but I compare, it's really gross, but it's really accurate. I always compare processing negative emotions to just like going to the bathroom. We have to feelings are meant to be felt. So that's why there's that corny saying, feeling is healing. I'm sorry. Feeling is healing, where just like going to the bathroom isn't fun, right? We do it in private. It smells bad. It's not a fun experience, but we know we have to do it because we eat every day. We eat food every day, which means we have to go to the bathroom every day. But we know bad stuff happens when we all of a sudden, imagine if you said, I don't want to poop. I'm just going to hold this in forever. Oh my gosh. It's like that. Well, that gets real bad real quick. Constipation's not fun. And then it leads to all, like, imagine not going to the bathroom for a month. Like we would all explode. But we do that with emotions though. We have anxiety. We judge it. We go, ooh, what is this? This is bad. Let me just suppress and distract. Imagine if you did that next time you had to pee. You're like, I have to pee. No, I'm not supposed to feel this. And you go like work out or something, or you go like eat or distract with like Netflix. That's not good at all. And it's going to get really messy really quickly. But what happens when
some of us, when we're struggling, we need help, we're kind of like fearful to ask for help or just to make our problems kind of known. Were you kind of afraid, or you're like, no, I need this help? Like no, I'm not afraid. I just need to get this done. How was your mindset even going into therapy?
I am terrible about asking for help. Like
Okay.
I hate it. But
Okay.
when you get to that certain stage where you're like, and I know I need to talk stuff out, whether it's a new business idea, whether it's, something that I'm doing for work, like maybe I've got a lesson plan coming up. Once I talk it out, I know I get my own clarity. I know, but I tell my students all the time, if you broke your leg, you're going to the doctors, right? Like you're going to go to the hospital. So what's the difference between knowing that That's the biggest part of it, is knowing when you need that help.
Mhm.
But what's the difference between doing that and going to go see a therapist? There isn't any. And the stigma of it is just completely ridiculous at this point, to be totally honest.
So today I am so excited. I have with me Kayla and Andy Izzard. Did I say your last name right?
Got it.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Man. So I wanted to go into, okay, so under your mission, you guys wrote, "You don't have to do this alone."
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, what is this that you're referring to when you say you don't have to do this alone? And either one
That's a
could.
great question. I've never been asked that question before, but I think e- it's everything. Everything we go through in life as humans is this. I mean, I think we think like, oh, I'm the, only one going through job stress. I'm the only one going through relationship stress. I'm the only one going through, personal like mental health stress, like the summit. And this could be any of those things because it's the human experience. It's the stuff that we are all dealing with.
and and the good stuff. Like one of
Yeah.
our sweetest friends, when we first met her, she had just signed for a house for her and her son, and she had no one to share the exciting news with. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's this. Like this.
Yeah.
The ups and the downs that we all go through
Yeah.
that are all pretty normal. Like all of it.
Yeah.
Like, when did you notice that your mental health was starting to take a decline? Like, this is not okay.
Young.
Mhm.
When I was 4, I really felt like I was not really worth much, but I could help other people. When I was 6, I feel like that, well, I should say 5. 5 and 6 is when things started to take a deeper dive. Self-harm started, and like I just felt very broken and alone, and like I was the problem. But maybe I could either fix it or give back some other way. But yeah, just kind of honestly, like
Mhm.
5 was when it started to be pretty noticeable, and it just kind of didn't improve much for a long time through teens into her 20s, I think.
That awareness, because I want to ask, do you know what was stopping you? Because sometimes, let me just share a little bit. Like, when I'm in the middle of something and then I stop because of fear of failure or fear of just different reasons. So I wanted to ask you on your side, do you know what was the reason that you were inconsistent? Did you ever?
Yeah, that was a tough one. I just didn't feel like I was deserving of it.
Okay.
I wasn't worthy, and which made no logical sense given, upbringing and background and all the positive things in my life and success in work and some other areas. But when I had to delve down and really look at it, it was just kind of this world I lived in where I grew up, where I wasn't reaching the potential. So I didn't feel like I was good enough because I wasn't hitting other people's benchmarks or expectations of me. So I assumed that to be my identity. And when I did something, it was either, there was always a part of me that when I achieved success, I didn't feel like I was worthy of it, but I didn't know what that was at the time. It's like you're not conscious of it, you're not aware of it. I couldn't label it. I just felt like uneasy because the minute I had a higher success, I felt 100 times more vulnerable than I did when I was in a scarcity or surviving mode.
Confidence comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes. So I'm so happy that you emphasize the word bulletproof, is that way once you get it, you don't lose it. So
Sure.
I'm gonna ask you personally, like,
Sure.
where does your confidence come from?
Well, first, it's very systematic. It comes
Yeah.
from embracing a growth mindset and becoming a
Okay.
learner.
Mhm.
Because when you're a learner and you drop your ego, there is no failure, because you're going to go learn things and you're going to try to execute them and put them to work in your life. They're not going to go perfectly every time. There's a learning curve, but that learning curve are not setbacks or failures. There's just an opportunity to grow. What did work? What didn't work? What can I do differently? And when you do that, you stop beating yourself up. You stop penalizing. You stop minimizing. You realize that I am supposed to skin my knees along the way, just like I did when I learned to crawl and to walk and then to run. I wasn't being judged. I didn't have any fear of judgment or people heckling me or that I wasn't enough. When you're a kid, you embraced learning and growing and absorbing knowledge. When you can do that again for yourself as an adult, then you just take all that negative baggage and let it go. I'm no longer fearful of trying new things. And so when I'm a learner in a growth mindset, then I've learned one important fact is in confidence, getting competence in something leads to confidence. So now that
So I wanted you to
Right.
explain, like, what is the correct, like, the realistic approach to meditation for those of us who are thinking that we're doing it wrong when we're closing our eyes and like it's not working for us.
Right. You're
Yeah,
right.
so
You're
go
not
ahead.
okay. So that is 100% what I hear all the time from people, right? Particularly the high achievers that are like, am I doing it right? I want to get it right. That if you are sitting there closing your eyes, expecting that you're not supposed to be having any thoughts and that to do it right, your mind is just going to be blank, like that's absolutely not what meditation is. Like that is not the goal. You will
Mhm.
never get there.
Mhm.
You will never get there, right?
Mhm.
Because the brain is designed to think. We have like 60,000 thoughts a day. You're not going to just stop it. You may be able to create space where there is a noticeable absence of thought
Yeah.
before it kicks on again, right? And that space might be a millisecond, or it might be 2
Mhm.
seconds, or people that are long-term meditation
All for today. Please continue to watch the other interviews and to hear other people's stories, and so you could also receive just inspiration to keep you going, because we all need to hear. We all need the help. We all need to hear each other's stories and see that we're not alone. So please continue to watch the other interviews, and that is all for today. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Janelle, just before you go, I just wanted
Yes,
to thank
go
you
ahead.
so
Yes.
much for doing this also and for having me today. This was awesome. And I definitely believe in the cause, like what you said. Yeah, we all need this. So thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yay. Thank you. Bye.